All right, so our objects, right? So these objects are essentially containers of either data or lines of code or command. Okay, they're named so they can be accessed at any point, and there are different ways of signing them. You can use this arrow. So this is a less than sign with a dash, and then whatever value you want to assign it. So in this case, all three examples here are assigning the value 1 to the variable x. Unfortunately, I'll be using this interchangeably, but most of the time, because I also teach Python, I tend to use the equal sign, but the standard or the proper way, I don't know if it's the proper way, but the accepted way, or the one that you'll see more often, is the arrow. Okay? And there are lots of functions in R, which is one of the reasons why we're going to use it. And then basically, these functions can allow you to get information about the R environment. It can help you change the properties of an environment. It can actually perform tasks on these data structures. And so in this case, below here, I've assigned or created 3 different variables. And then the 4th variable is the result of the function sum, where it's actually going to add these variables here. And the way you look or you view the results of your operation is by just, if you look at the results of that variable, you just type in the name of that variable and it will show you the results. Okay. All right, so one thing to note, right, so just to see, just type the name of the object. If the object does not exist, you will get something like this where it says, hello is not found. One thing to note is the objects, the names of the objects are case sensitive, and functions as well. So a print with a capital P is not the same as print with a small p. Also, like many other programming languages, you have area to put your comments. So here you put a number sign followed by lots of different comments that you have. Another thing to note is that when you have, it's possible for you to have a command represented on multiple lines. Later on, you'll see this becomes very helpful in having code that's much readable, right? To make it a lot more human readable. So in this case, when you type in print and then you open the parentheses and press enter, R knows that you're not done yet because you never completed that. You never closed the parentheses. So what it's going to do is give you a plus sign instead of the greater than sign. And then what you do is you type in or you complete the code or the command and you close the parentheses and then it will actually execute it. So what this means is that new line characters and spaces are not as important. They won't get interpreted. It knows exactly what to look for. So one of the best ways of finding out about commands is using the help. I use this a lot, especially because I don't remember all the different options that are available for some of the commands, and sometimes I don't remember how the command is called. So I'll just use part of that name to get the list of all the names that are there. Sometimes you don't want, you just need an example of how to use the command. So that's here. Or you can start a whole session. So a lot of the lecture material that I have here is from the help section that was provided. We can have different types of objects. We can have numerical objects, complex numbers, logical vectors or logical data sets, characters, or even bytes. You can actually save images and things like that. The class is more of how the data is being stored. When we talk about vectors, which is one-dimensional, the class or the type of object is basically the mode, which means the type of values it's storing. Some other classes are matrix, arrays, factors, data frames. We'll go through a bunch of these. There's also one called list. Another thing to remember is that R is very object-oriented. So what that means is it has the class of the object is important so that it knows how to perform. So basically, if you used a plot function on a vector, it would do something completely different compared to when you use a plot function on a matrix. Okay, so vectors is the most simplistic, simple form of R object. It basically contains a sequence of data. This can be numbers, it can be characters, it can also be logical, which means trues or false. The most simplest form of just value 1 is a scalar, so that's actually a vector of length 1. So everything is at least a vector. You can create a vector of more than one element by using the C function. And one thing to note about vectors is that they must be all of the same type and mode. Okay. So what this means is that you can create a vector of all characters, or you can create a vector of all numbers, but you can't mix and match. And characters must be enclosed in either single quotes or double quotes. A character string without quotes, it will think that it's actually a name of a variable and it'll actually look in your workspace for that. You can also represent, or you should represent, missing data as NA, or not available, not, yeah. So a little bit more about character vectors. You use double quotes to specify where they are. You can use escape characters, right? What this means is sometimes certain characters have special meaning. So to escape it from that special meaning, you can use a backslash in front of it. So for example, if you want to put a backslash in your string, you have to escape that backslash so that it shows up. Same thing with double quotes, because it would think that the string is finishing. But if you want to put the quotes inside of the string, you have to escape it. There's also special meaning with backslash and new line character, tabs, or backspace. Okay. Okay. So here are some examples that I have here. To create the vector, when you're watching this video, you should try to load it up in your R Studio or Workspace or R GUI, whatever you're using, and try to repeat this. Actually, I'm going to do it as well. So let me just launch it here. So I'm going to launch my R Studio on my computer. And here on the top right, I'm going to click on New Project, New Directory. I'm just going to create an empty project. And then here I can pick where I want to save this. So I'm actually going to save this in the directory that I have.